Welcome to the first episode of Flat Sheiner. Today, we are in Brooklyn, New York, the most populous borough in New York City, only about 20 miles away from Bergenfield, New Jersey. There's a lot of art and entertainment here in Brooklyn, but we are going to meet one of the more famous, or not so famous, Revolutionary War heroes, Commodore John Barry. We're gonna head on over and walk around Brooklyn with Commodore Barry, and you're gonna learn about his life and how important he was to the establishment of the U.S. Navy. Hey, we are now at the entrance of Commodore Barry Park, and we're about to meet the Commodore. You ever walk by a park, whether it's in Bergenfield or somewhere in New York City or maybe another city, and wonder, how did that park get its name? Who is it named after, and why does he have a park named after him? Well, we're here at Commodore Barry Park in Brooklyn to talk and meet up with the Commodore. Now, although Commodore Barry is most notably known for living and growing up in Philadelphia, Commodore Barry Park is very important to the borough of Brooklyn. We are here at the chessboards in Commodore Barry Park, and we have now met up with the Commodore, Commodore John Barry. Commodore, how was your trip in from Philadelphia? Oh, it was great, but you know, the trip over the bridge was a real pain in the neck. Commodore, a lot of my students don't really know much about you. Can you tell me some basic information about you? Like, when were you born, and you know, where did you come from? Well, I was born March 25th in 1745, and I died September 13th, 1803. I was an Irish-American officer in the Continental Navy during the American Revolutionary War, and later in the United States Navy. I have been credited as being called the father of the American Navy, and I share that title with my brothers John Paul Jones and John Adams. They get a little bit more notoriety than me, but I am really the guy that started the Navy. I was appointed captain in the Continental Navy on December 7th, 1775. I was the first captain placed in command of a U.S. warship commissioned for service under the Continental flag. After the war, I became commissioned as a naval officer at the rank of Commodore. Commodore is a naval officer rank. I received my first commission from, yes, you guessed it, General George Washington. Let's walk around the Navy Yard and I can tell you a little bit more about myself. So, we're here with Commodore Barry and we're at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. The Brooklyn Navy Yard was originally built in the early 1800s, just before the Commodore passed away. That was one of his last things that he got to see, was the establishment of the Brooklyn Navy Yard. From the 1800s on throughout, up until World War II, the Brooklyn Navy Yard is where all of the United States naval American battleships that fought in World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and even in the Civil War were built. Now the Brooklyn Navy Yard is being refurbished and remodeled, and we are in front of Sheiner Studios, which is one of the more popular hotspots to film movies and TV shows in Brooklyn, New York. Commodore Barry, another hotspot in the Brooklyn Navy Yard is the first ever Wegmans supermarket. Oh, what's a Wegmans? Wegmans, you ask, is one of the best supermarkets around. And this is the very first one ever in the United States. And it's right here in the Brooklyn Navy Yard. For more information on the Brooklyn Navy Yard, let's watch this really cool video. We're here right underneath the iconic Brooklyn Bridge with Commodore John Barry. So we're totally enjoying our day in Brooklyn today. Commodore, let me ask you a couple of questions. Where were you exactly born? Well, I was born in Wexford, Ireland in 1745, like I said before, on March 25th. Now, Commodore, you were really important during the Revolutionary War as far as commissioning the first battleships. Yes, I received my first captain's commission in the Continental Navy on March 14th, 1776. That was signed by John Hancock, President of the Continental Congress. I am a religious man, and I always knew that I would spend my life at sea. What was the first ship you commanded? The name of my first ship that I commanded was the USS Lexington, and it had 14 guns on that. We sailed off the Capes of Virginia and fought with the French Navy against the nasty King of England and his very tough Navy. After the war, I had the idea that we would commission more battleships and start the United States Navy. John Paul Jones and John Adams and myself were instrumental in creating the United States Navy with the help of, you guessed it again, General George Washington. Man, this bridge is pretty. What else do you want to know? Well, you lived in Philadelphia, right? Yes, I was living in Philadelphia most of my life, but I was in and out of New York City and Brooklyn because this is where the Brooklyn Naval Yard was beginning to be built at the end of my life. And the Brooklyn Navy Yard, where we were at, where we saw that great video, that was important in developing all the ships for the United States Navy? Absolutely. Hundreds of ships were built at the Brooklyn Navy Yard from 1804 up until 1948. Well, Commodore, I really want to thank you for your time. We'll maybe hit another hot spot in Brooklyn, but right now, let's get some pizza. Pizza? What's pizza? Well, we're gonna go to Grimaldi's and we'll share a slice, okay? Sounds good. Oh, my green clovers. This looks magically delicious. Commodore, it's been great having you here on our trip and walk through Brooklyn. You are definitely an icon, and we are standing right in front of another Brooklyn icon, is the notorious B.I.G. Who? Biggie Smalls. But I want to say thank you, and I hope my students had a great first episode of Flat Mr. Sheiner, learning about you and how you started the United States Navy and how you were a Revolutionary War hero, and we thank you for your service. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sheiner. Who's this Biggie Smalls? Well, the best way to answer that is, let's play one of his songs and just see it out. Okay.